Hey, Sheena here. I'm a divorce recovery coach, and I'm here to help you heal, recover, and transform your life after divorce with a faith found in Jesus Christ. Today, I want to talk about believing God is for you while you are in this difficult season. This is key to experiencing a complete recovery over any trauma. I will share 3 specific steps you can begin today that will completely shift your perspective. One of the really helpful things after my divorce was my belief in God and the belief that God was for me. After experiencing loss, grief, shock, and devastation after my own divorce, it was easy to question God's plan for me. Was God really working this out for my good? After all, none of it seemed good as I was completely broken. I lost so much in the year I was divorced. How could I believe that God was for me? Was He still at work in my life? I remember being asked if I questioned God for what had happened and how did it challenge my faith. I think it's easy and very natural to question God and wonder, where is God's plan in all of this? I certainly questioned God as to why things happened the way that they did. And I came to realize I had a lot of questions that didn't have answers. So continuing to ask why God wasn't a place I wanted to stay. I wanted to know, how can I shift my mentality from why God to I trust you, God? How could I move from doubt to trust? And if you are wondering this too, stick with me. I'll share with you what I learned and what you can do about it. I discovered it was all about making conscious and deliberate choices of what I was going to believe and what kind of stories I was going to allow to run through my head. So number 1, it all started with the choice to believe that God was still for me. Number 2, I chose to accept and be okay with not knowing all the answers to my questions. There are no logical answers to the illogical. And sometimes things are simply illogical and senseless. There are some things I am just not going to know the answers to. Only God knows, and I think it's better that way. Number 3, I had to separate God's qualities from my circumstances. God always stays the same despite all of the circumstances on earth. I knew He was always faithful. It's one of His amazing and perfect qualities. I felt very much abandoned and betrayed over my divorce, but I had to separate what I was feeling and begin to reinforce what I knew about God. God was faithful. He didn't abandon me. He didn't divorce me. I considered my divorce the worst thing that has ever happened to me. And now, after having 5 years of time and perspective, I still hold this to be true. It was the worst thing that has ever happened to me. However, with a new perspective, I can see that God brought me to a better place in life, and now I feel free. I am free of being married to someone who didn't want to be. I once felt abandoned, but now I get to feel free. It's never too early to begin to have a shift in perspective. even if your emotions don't yet match it. That's okay. So go ahead and fill in the blanks to fit your situation. Blank was the worst thing that has ever happened to me, but because God is faithful and works all things out for my good, I can go from feeling blank to feeling blank. So here's what I want you to do. Start with the event that happened, like my divorce. Then fill in the next blank with the yucky emotion you're dealing with now. For example, mine was feeling abandoned. And then ask yourself, how might this perspective change? If you could pick the most positive emotion for yourself, what would it be? Go ahead and put that in the last blank. It's perfectly fine if you don't yet feel this way. Choices always precede our emotions. It's very powerful to begin thinking about how things can change in a positive direction for you. After all, God is able to do more than we could think or ask. So, I want to know, how did that go for you? I invite you to comment below with your statement. I am going from feeling blank to blank. I'd love to read them and find out what came up for you. God brought me out of my devastation, healed me, made me a stronger person for it. I know He wants that for you too. So be encouraged. God is faithful. If you found this helpful to you, I invite you to like and subscribe. Here are the key verses for today.